Yo, what is up, everybody? It's your boy TyGuy711 back again with another video, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to go 12-0 with some tips and tricks that I have for you guys. Now, obviously, you guys see in the top right, I do have the banner 12-0. I have gone flawless before. I will tell you, that was probably one of the most insane and stressful nights I've ever had playing this game. There are some certain tips and tricks that I can give you guys that can help you guys possibly get to 12-0 that some people don't necessarily know about. Now, one of the most important things in this game, and obviously this mode, is drafting. In order to have a good team, you got to draft the right way and pick the right players for your team and make sure that you have a good strategy when you're drafting. So that's what I'm going to do here, show you guys my certain strategy, I guess you could call it, of drafting my team, and maybe you guys can use it for your guys' teams. There's a lot of different ways that you guys can use your teams or draft your teams. This is all preference for me, and this is how I like to draft mine. All right, enter the draft. We got into the first round here. So you guys see a round like this: Nolan Ryan, Aroldis Chapman, Jim Thome, and Andre Dawson. It really matters with who you play with best. If you guys aren't as good as a hitter as you are as a pitcher, I would probably draft some hitting. Or if you aren't as good as a pitcher as you are as a hitter, I would probably draft some pitching. For example here, I do really well with this Andre Dawson card. 435 average, 3 home runs, and 10 RBIs. And that's already in a pretty decent sample size. I would definitely take him here. I do solid with Thome, but I don't have as great as a sample size there. Aroldis Chapman, I don't do too hot with him either. I mean, Aroldis Chapman can be really easy to hit off of an all-star, but again, that speed is really helpful. And then Nolan Ryan, you don't really want to take a starting pitcher in the first round. The only time I'd recommend taking a starting pitcher in the first round is if all the rest of your guys are pretty bad and you don't have really much of a better pick, and that starting pitcher is someone like Nolan Ryan, Kerry Wood, Oral Hershiser, Al Leiter. One of those guys, but like I said, you have to have a really bad round in general in order to take a starter first. But it all depends on what you lack first. I'm going to take Andre Dawson because I am not that great of a hitter at times, but I'm also not good of a pitcher. The thing that's going to make me not want to take Chapman here is I have a horrible ERA with him, and I tend to do some pretty wild things with him, like mislocated pitches, walk a ton of guys. I'm going to take Andre Dawson, take the smart pick here. For your starting rotation, you're going to want to have 1 common, 2 bronzes, and 2 silver players. The next common round, you're going to want to take someone that's super speedy on the bench, or you could possibly take someone in the bullpen that you're not going to use as much. Also, look at what pitches they have. For example, you want a sinker on the common card if you have to end up using him. And also, I have a lefty here in Kyle Ryan, and he has a sinker. I'm going to take Kyle Ryan. That's the smartest pick here. Also, you guys need to make sure that you guys are taking inside edge into effect because there's a lot of good guys that tend to do a lot better with their inside edge. Another big thing here is someone getting like Yordan Alvarez. I absolutely rake with this card. But the problem is that defense is very horrendous and he could cause problems. You want to look deep into those defensive stats. Reaction's not that great. His fielding's not that great, but I would not draft him unless you really need him. If it comes down to a round where you need a left fielder or you even need a lefty bat, then I would take Yordan Alvarez. But if you have better options that you can get later on, possibly get a really good silver bat that you can have in left, possibly get like a Rhys Hoskins who's already better than him in left field, and you could even get a good bat like Rhys Hoskins, I would definitely stay away from Yordan Alvarez first round. Obviously look for some other guys. Tyler Stevenson, a really good catcher you can have behind the plate. 70 fielding, 90 arms, 75 blocking. Definitely stay away from someone like Yu Darvish because there's not really much to do with the gold starter like him. And Will Smith, always a good card, but for me personally, I don't do too great with him, so that's why I'm not going to take him. So here for me, the pick is going to be Tyler Stevenson. If you're willing to take that risk of having that awful fielding in left field, I would take Yordan Alvarez. But for someone like maybe having a righty hitter up and pulling the ball consistently, if you pitch a lot of inside pitches, you're not going to want to take Yordan Alvarez. Here, I'm going to take the smart pick and I'm going to pick Tyler Stevenson. For a round like this, you want to also take into consideration that there are some cards that you could get in later on rounds. For example, Corey Seager, 91 overall card here, but you could get his 81 overall that just got upgraded to a gold. Do you want to take the risk here on Corey Seager and get this card, or instead wait for the later rounds to get the gold card? For me, there's not really much of a great round here. I mean, I got you Darvish, LeMahieu, Seager, Guerrero. I'm going to take Seager because there's not much better of a round, but later on, you want to consider taking someone that maybe already has another version of the card and it's not nearly as good, but he's still a great card. Seager has one of the best swings in the game. That is why I'm going to take Seager. Imagine how good this card's going to be if it's a 91 compared to its 81. Seager is definitely the move in this round. Also, when you're playing in BR, you always want to play when it comes down to, I would say, around 7-0 or 8-0. Always play in home games. When you play in home games, you have the higher advantage. And if you don't know how to do that, I will show you at the end of the video. So you got to stick in for that. Another thing you want to take in consideration is how many positions the player plays. For example, Neil Walker plays first, second, third, left field, and right field. Solid hitter for a bronze. Tony Barnett here does have a lot of different pitches in a repertoire, so that is definitely going to be the pick here. But you want to look into how many different positions they can play and if that could come useful if you need to put him in as a defensive replacement or if you're really lacking players on the field at that moment. Also, go with your gut. Take the players that you know you're good with. For example, I know I'm good with Brandon Lau. I know I'm good with Jock Peterson. These stats all prove it. But in a round like this, where you know you're good with multiple players, there's going to be more depth in left field than second base. Clearly here, the pick is Brandon Lau. He's a great card, has great defense, and Jock has good defense as well, but not nearly as good. Also got to take into consideration that he's not nearly as useful against lefties as Brandon Lau is. So Brandon Lau is most definitely the pick here. You got to take someone like Brandon Lau in these type of rounds. Another round like this where you have a tough decision to make. Trumbo, great hitter for me. Common defense. Joey Votto, not really. I mean, he does well for me, but it's in a very small sample size. And there's a lot of other good first basemen you could get in the game. David Price, I know it's a small sample size, but a 40.5 ERA, 3 earned runs, and only how many at-bats did I have him in? 7 at-bats. The average is already high itself. You could usually already tend to know how you do with cards, and I can already tell David Price is not going to be the pick here. In a time like this, I'm going to take the risk with Trumbo. He does have low fielding, but he does have better fielding than someone like Jordan Alvarez. That's why you want to take someone like Trumbo here, and he also has really good power against righties. You could possibly platoon him. Trumbo is the pick in this type of round. Again, a round where you know you're going to do good with somebody, you got to take Edwin Encarnacion. The stats that I have with Edwin Encarnacion are ridiculous. In a round like this, you're not going to want to take Jose Quintana. You want to take a look at the ERA before anything, because 4.76 and 5.2 innings pitch, it tends to be a little bit misleading. That's not always bad in a scenario like this, but with the 1.41 whip, it's just not the most ideal situation for you. He's allowed 2 home runs for me, and he's just not the best card at times. He does have a sinker and a good pitching repertoire, but you want to take someone like Dave Kidman here, who has a lot of power. Starlin Castro, who I know I do well with, and that's why I'm going to take Starlin Castro, probably put him in at third base. And I have finished the draft, and this is how the team looks. When you set your lineup, you're going to want to put the best hitters you know you can hit with this draft. For example, you want to get someone that hits a hit 40% of the time, and that guy for me is probably going to be Kyle Schwarber. You most likely are going to want to put a lefty in first, just because what if you face that righty? With these stats of 430 average, 22 home runs, and 26 RBIs, and strikes out little, you got to put him leadoff first. You want to mix in the lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty as much as you can, just because you'll throw off your opponent a ton, and he won't know who to put in at times. For example, when I have someone like Kyle Schwarber, who absolutely rakes against righties, and then you put it a lefty, possibly against Andre Dawson, who has 108 contact versus lefties, 96 power versus lefties. That's just going to be unstoppable, and you're not going to be able to have a great outing against that guy. Brandon Lau follows up, can hit both sides. Edwin Encarnacion can absolutely rake against both sides. Corey Seager rakes against righties. Always make sure to try and get a gold in your bullpen. For example, that guy for me is going to be Liam Hendricks. I do great with this card. You guys can just see the stats: 0 ERA and 6 innings pitched. I tend to do really well with this card. And if you guys follow me on Twitch, which, by the way, if you guys don't already, follow me on Twitch. I stream a ton there. I always go do some runs late night, and I always tend to do well with this Hendricks card. So taking him is going to be a crucial part on my team. Want to make sure you get at least 2 lefties on this team. I have 3 lefties on this team, which makes this team a lot better than it already is. Get someone you know you pitch well with. Hanzo Robles, start to do well with him, and Rob Nen. I do really well with Rob Nen. Again, 0 RA and 5 innings pitched. And then that starting rotation, like I mentioned, you want to get at least 2 silvers in there. I got Mike Minor and David Price leading the way for me. Kyle Gibson, who has a sinker, which is very crucial, along with Adam Wainwright, who does have a very slow differential from 75 to 90. That's going to be really hard to read off the hand. A lot of people don't know when to take out their pitcher in Battle Royale either. I say once you hit that 3 batter minimum for your starter, immediately take him out. You want to have as much energy as you can, especially when you have 2 silvers and starting off for you. You don't want to waste those 2 silvers and have to go to a bronze. All-star hitting is a lot easier than something like Hall of Fame, Legend. Everything's going to be hit pretty much. You have to be smart. You have to save the better pitchers that you have on your team. I went 12-0 with guys like Andre Dawson and Kyle Schwarber. You want to pick the guys that you're most confident with and make sure that you put them at the top of your lineup. And last of all, most importantly, the time you play. The best times to play are really late at night, because there tends to be a lot of players that aren't necessarily as good at the game. But that does make the waiting time a lot longer for some of the games. But in the end, that only means you go up all the way on the bar. So as you guys can see here, when I press this button right here, the bar goes all the way to the right. When you go all the way to the right, that only means the better things for you, because you could face an absolute scrub if you're playing all the way on the right. Now, when I start here, you're going to want to make sure that you play a home game. I mentioned this earlier in the video. As you guys can see, I found an opponent. But it is key to find out whether you're home or away. You should be able to tell if you're able to go through each pretty fast, you're home. If it's a little bit more laggy in between switching those players, you're away. When it comes to 7-0, 8-0, around that time, only play home games. And even so, you're playing on your Wi-Fi. That means anything could be better for you. That just means that your connection will be easier and better to deal with. You can take it or leave it, but I've gone 12-1 twice this year and 12-0 once. I am not the best player. I am only like a 900 World Series player. There are a lot of great players out there that have not gone 12-0 yet. I know a lot of great players, but these are the tips that can help you get there. If you guys want more tip videos like this, please hit that like button, subscribe, let me know in the comment section. Make sure you guys, if you guys don't already, follow me on Twitter. I'm going to be posting a lot on Twitter about my schedule, updates, and all that other cool stuff. There's a lot I always have coming on the channel for you guys. I have a lot of surprises coming soon, so make sure you guys tune in, stay ready for that. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there. Much love, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and peace.